Since we have got the incredible new cutter, which is an accessory if you haven't heard of, I'm going to be showing you a little bit just later on. We actually can save dirtying a bowl and grating up cheese, which is quite a trickier thing to clean. A bit of elbow grease is needed. So we can skip that and do that with the cutter, and I can go straight on to the next steps. So I'm starting with some garlic and onion, and we're going to be using the high temperature mode today. So let me know in the chat box for those who've got the Thermomix who has used the high temperature mode. I'm going to put them in and we're going to give them a quick chop. Someone can let me know about the chat anyway if there's any answers there. But if you haven't, there's plenty of time. You know, there are so many things that you will not get to with the Thermomix, maybe ever, but definitely maybe not straight away anyway. You are a new owner. So with this one, it's important when you're doing high temperature mode not to actually scrape that garlic down right onto the base of the bowl, because as we know with garlic, it can be a little bit more fragile and we don't want to be burning that and getting that burnt flavour through the food. So your Thermomix will guide you every step of the way with this. You don't have to know any of this. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to add some onion that's been cut into wedges. So kind of like that. Now, this is where you can kind of bring in your own, obviously, as well. Some of these recipes, these high temperature recipes will leave the onion wedged. So if that's not your preference, having quite kind of bigger chunks of onion, then please know that straight after you've done the high temperature mode, you can chop that up. You can make that nice and small. Maybe you're hiding it from children, like in my household, or maybe you just don't like that texture. So that's totally okay. Now, I'm currently solo parenting it with 3 children, and I know 2 of them are awake, as Karen previously was aware of on our one-on-one before this. So please, I can hear them. So please excuse me if they do come out and interrupt. I know they're going to be doing that. But because it's just us at home at the moment, my hubby's away for work, I'm going to half this recipe. And so that's kind of what I was leading to before. Most recipes, and now we do have an incredible scaling function where you can choose your portion sizes, but most recipes can be halved, doubled, made your own. So I'm halving this one. High temperature mode's a little bit trickier because if you do go too far out of the recipe, it will pick that up and it will say, okay, the weight's not right in this bowl, and it won't go ahead. And that's just a safety thing so that you don't end up having like burning the bottom of your bowl, but it's within reason, like you can kind of have a fair play with it. So all I have to do is pop that in and it's going to bring up the high temperature mode here, which is the 3 little lines, and it's going to saute that for me. So yeah, you'll be able to hear it stopping and starting potentially. I don't know if you can hear quiet now. Zoom sometimes cuts out the noise, but it's currently quiet. And what that means is it's just stopped the blades moving. It's building that temperature at the base of the bowl, and it's building those flavors and that caramelization and browning that we want from our food to really bring out the flavor. So yeah, that's kind of going to do its thing for the next 4 minutes. I think we're throwing over to Nat now, I do believe, if I've got my head around that one, Chi. So
we are.
I'll put you on, Nat.
Thank you. Just make sure that I'm big on the screen, Laura. So for anyone that's watched one of my online cooking classes would know that my tech skills with Zoom are not the best in making all things run smoothly. So Laura is here to help me. So I am making the pesto. So this basil pesto. So what I'm going to do is I've planned this in my week. So I'm going to head to my week now, and I'm going to go to the basil pesto. So this recipe, basically what I'm essentially going to do is I'm going to make scrolls with it, and I'm also going to make pasta with it as well. So watch this space, that is coming. So I'll go back. If I scroll down to the recipe, in the actual recipe itself, you've got the opportunity to, like Laura mentioned before, to actually change the serving size. So it's at 350 grams at the moment, but I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger. So I click the serving size, and it gives me the opportunity to go 165 or go to 520. So I'm going to go 520 and hit apply. That is then going to adjust all my ingredients so that they're at the 520. So really, really important. If you're, living with, 6 people, you can do that for, up to 6. If you're living with 2 people or just yourself, you can also scale it back down. So that's a new function of the TM6, which has been fabulous. So I'm going to put in 120 grams of Parmesan cheese, and I've just cut that into cubes. Pop that in. Hit next, and I'm just going to pop my measuring cup and lid on. Next, 16 seconds on speed 10. The noise will cut out, so bear with me. Not at the moment grating Parmesan cheese in your Thermomix. It is so quick, as you can see there. Have a look at that. That's just grated beautifully. So I usually do a whole block of Parmesan, 20 seconds, speed 8, and then you've got your whole block of Parmesan. I usually just keep that in the freezer, ready to go when I need it. So now I'm just going to add 45 grams of pine nuts. Has anyone made their own pesto before?
Yeah.
You've made it, have you, Fran?
No, no.
Oh, no, you haven't. And
No.
3 cloves of garlic. You might after tonight. Alrighty. And 120 grams of fresh basil. So this was just shy. I weighed it up earlier today. It's about 100, but that's fine. So I was even thinking I could even add some spinach leaves in there as well if I wanted to, but this was 2 really large bunches of basil. So I was surprised that it wasn't at 120 grams. Alrighty, hit next. And 225 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Might take a little bit to get there. While I'm doing that, I can tell you a little bit of a story about my olive oil today. I actually went to go get olive oil because I knew I was going to be running short. And I got out of the supermarket and I dropped the olive oil all over the floor. It broke.
Oh, no.
Smashed in the car park. So then I was like, okay, boys, come on, let's get out. We're going to go get some more olive oil from the shop. Got out and then my thong broke. So I had a broken thong and no olive oil. So luckily I was like, I'm not going back in. I'm not walking in with bare feet. So I messaged my husband. I said, can you please get olive oil on your way home? Because the shops don't want to see me today. Alrighty, so there we go. 225 grams of olive oil and then some salt. Now be generous with your salt. I'm a dietitian as well, and a lot of people worry about salt, but I feel like when you own a Thermomix and you're cooking from scratch all the time, salt's really not a problem. It's mainly the problem when you're looking at processed foods. Pop our lid on, and then for 20 seconds on speed 7, that's just going to blitz up. And that is our pesto done. So how quick and easy was that?
Gosh.
Look at that. Super easy. So we will come back to me soon, but for now we're heading back to Laura.
Hello. So yeah, my high temperature mode has finished. I'll show you that. It's a little bit hard without tipping it down, but hopefully you can see the browning on the bottom of the bowl there. So that's what you want. You want those flavors. It smells delicious. So this is where, after this step that I spoke about, if you wanted to chop that up quickly, which I actually might even do because, like I said, kids. But yeah, this is where you want to, you can just exit your recipe by pressing the little house and go straight to your 3 circles screen. Turn that. I'll just chop that on. It's about speed 6 for a couple of seconds. And I'm quite happy with that. So a couple of seconds, and at least you won't have sort of bigger chunks there. So yeah, and then we're going to hit the little bookmark and go straight back. So obviously it always saves where we're at our very clever Thermomix, which is awesome. Now, what I'm going to do next is, where have I skipped to? Beautiful. Okay, so then we've got some beef mince we're adding. Now, I wanted to be a bit savvy. I only had some pork mince in the freezer that I wanted to use up. So I'm using pork, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like, you know, if you want to be savvy at this day and age, you kind of just you got to try things. I wasn't sure, but I kind of did a practice run earlier after before this session, and it was perfect. So I'm happy with that. I'll remember that for next time. So I'm going to pop that in. And again, just a little bit, touch more olive oil. I've got this, actually, I should show you guys this. This is from the mix shop. It's from a little while ago, so I'm hoping they still have it in stock. But this is like a little oil sprayer. So all you need is to pop your favorite oil in there, and you can sort of spray that onto your veggies if you want to do roast veggies and things like that. And I love it because there's no other nasties in it, other than those like propellant kind of sprays that you can buy from the supermarket. It's a much healthier version. So for any of my other health lovers out there, it's a great little thing to buy. Right, now, popping lid back on. Good, and then, yeah, that's just going to be browning that meat up again for 5 minutes or so. So, you know, think of a few different implications that you could use this high temperature mode for with your Thermomix, rather than pulling out a pan and doing it on the stovetop and getting that oil splatter and things happening. So, you know, for me, it's great for our size family for doing, you know, cube chicken, for doing, you know, fajita nights and taco nights and things like that. Doing those little kind of quick cooks that I don't need to have a really dirty stovetop for afterwards. So, yeah, if you've got any ideas on where you could be utilizing your high temperature mode, please share them in the chat box. Give us all some inspiration. But I think we're moving back to someone else now while this is doing the cook, but I'm not sure who.
Back to me again.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, thanks for that, Laura. So the next thing that I'm going to be making is some scrolls. So if anyone is buying scrolls, they would know that they are quite expensive. So if you brought like a scroll from Baker's Delight, you're looking at, you know, what, $3.50, $4 for one scroll. $4.50, I'm going to make about 11 scrolls. So a really big cost saver here that I wanted to show you. You can do scroll recipes using, you know, a pizza bianca, just a general pizza based recipe. I really, really do love this one though. That's called the 3 cheese spinach scroll. So I've tried lots of different variations of scrolls and I find this is my favorite. So I'm going to scroll down because I'm not actually using the start of this recipe because I've got the pesto that I want to put on top of the scrolls. I'm not actually going to use the cheese and spinach. And I'm just going to go down to step 4. So you can look at your recipe and then you can hit step 4 and it'll take you straight to that point. Alrighty, so 300 grams of water. I've got one already prepared, but I wanted to show you how easy it was to make. 300 grams of water, 2 teaspoons of yeast or just 1 sachet. 20 grams of olive oil. Come on, get this bottle back. Actually, there's not going to be enough in there. Lucky he went and got that other bottle. There we go, 20 grams. These are really great because you can top them with whatever you want as well. Like if you're trying to get rid of some stuff in your fridge, you could put whatever is left on in there on here as well. Alrighty, so some salt. And then we're going to pop the measuring cup on. Got to get my other lid. This is why having 2 bowls is absolutely amazing. You can just interchange. Alrighty, and speed 1. So that's there. It's just going to activate the yeast and heat on 37 degrees. So that's just going to do its thing Meanwhile, I'm going to chat to you a little bit about the pasta. So this here is our thermo server. So if anyone has a thermo server, they would know these are absolutely amazing. So they are designed to keep your food hot for a couple of hours at least. Really good for barbecue meat as well. Really, really versatile. And tonight we're going to cook pasta in there. So what I've done is, it's really important when you're cooking pasta in your thermo server, there's a couple of little tips. So one is that you need to preheat the bowl, essentially. So I just use the kettle and put some boiling hot water in here. 10 minutes is fine, even 5 is also fine. So I'm just going to tip that out. You've got some, you could always put in the fridge, and if you didn't want to waste it and then save it for later, go water your plants or something. And now I'm just going to pour some pasta. So it really depends. I'm going to put about half the packet in here. And all I'm going to do is just get some more boiled water from the kettle, and I'm going to tip that on top. Now with the pasta, you really can only use 2 types of pasta when you're doing it in the thermo server. And one is the spiral pasta, which I'm using. And the other one is macaroni. Okay, the other ones are a little bit too dense and they just do not cook as well. So my little tip would be, make sure it's either the macaroni or the spiral pasta. Just give that a little stir. And we will pop the lid on, and I'm going to leave that for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then that will be done. So I'm just going to pop that over here. All righty, bring this back. So that has all heated up. Now it's asking for 500 grams of baker's flour. Now I definitely recommend getting baker's flour. It is just perfect for bread recipes. And I got this little container from the Reject Shop, and it's been amazing. So it holds the full 5 kilogram bag of baker's flour, which is great. I definitely recommend, it says between 500 and 520 in flour. I do really think that it's best to stick to the 500. I find if you go that little bit to the 520, the dough is just a bit denser. All right, popping the lid on. And now we are going to, basically it's going to mix it for 5 seconds on speed 5. All right, and that's just done its thing. I'll show you that. So it's just mixed it up. And now we're going to do 1 minute of kneading. So now that's going to just knead the dough, remembering that, 2 minutes of kneading on your Thermomix is the equivalent to 20 minutes by hand. So this is about 10 minutes of kneading that you don't have to do by hand, and the Thermomix can do itself. So that's doing that. Meanwhile, I prepared one earlier. So I prepared this earlier today, and all I did was let it rise, and then I put it into let it rise, doubled in size, and then I put it in the fridge, and then I took it out about 5:30 and just brought it back to room temperature. So you can do that with this dough. You can, any sort of dough recipe as well, you can freeze as long as you bring it back to room temperature when you're ready to cook it. Alrighty, so hopefully you'll see that. Okay, this here is a non-stick mat. It's amazing, probably my favorite mix shop item, I reckon. Also available as a host reward, but just fabulous for doing doughs. Alrighty, I'm just going to roll that out. And the good thing is if you've got like smaller kids, you can make the scrolls a bit smaller. That way they're getting less waste, and they freeze. The scrolls, once they're cooked, freeze beautifully as well. Make perfect lunch boxes, or just even weekends. Sometimes I make a batch on the weekend, and then we just sort of take them on our road trips or picnics and things like that. Alrighty. So roll that out into a rectangle sort of shape, and then I'm just going to get some of my pesto and pop that straight on top. So you could add other things if you wanted to. What's everyone's favorite pizza recipe or scroll recipe? Pop it in the chat box. So there's a few different ways to roll out scrolls, and everyone's got their own preference. But I'm going to show you mine. If I can find my little dough cutter. Where did it go? Oh, here. This here, $3.50 from the mix shop, an amazing investment. So all I'm going to do, I like to just cut them into strips first, like this. Okay. I won't bore you and do them all. I'll just do a few and show you. And then I just roll them like that. So they're perfect. So you could pop some cheese on top if you wanted to. And then all you need to do is straight into the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven. So that's how you make the scrolls. And then I'll just show you that that was the dough that had been kneading for 1 minute. So how amazing is that? I'm going to now chuck that in the freezer. I'll let it rise, chuck it in the freezer, and we'll use that for scrolls another weekend. Beautiful. All righty. So we're over to Laura again.
Alrighty, we're back. So my meat's browned. Now this recipe does do in 2 batches, but I just halved it, so I only had to do the one. And I will get my trusty spatula and just kind of show you that as best as I can. Oh, I'm trying to show you the bottom, but essentially there's a few bits of more chunks of onion. I probably could have chopped a bit more, but that's okay. I'll mostly be eating them. So what I want to show you next is just another little tip with recipes. Again, if you are making them your own and you want to skip certain steps and things. So on that main screen, when you see the image and you can scroll down, you can actually select the step that you want to go to next. So because I'm skipping adding the 2 batches of meat and everything, I can go straight into step number 7 and touch that, and it's going to bring that up on my machine. So just a really great time-saving one, because you will find cookie dough recipes that maybe are 50, 60 steps long, and they might be making a seasoning from scratch that you've already got in your pantry, or you might be making hamburger buns from scratch and you've already just gone out and bought some of those or something. So just a good one to remember. So I've just got to add in a little bit of tomato paste here. Again, because I've halved it, I don't need very much. I'm just scraping the barrel with my little tin here. Use up every last bit. Good. And then I do actually have, I've used the packet taco mix tonight from the packet because I'm due to make some more and I just didn't get to it. I thought I might try today, but I didn't get to it today. So I'm doing that, and I'm just going to add a little splash of water as well. So I only probably need, again, if you don't add the whole packet normally when you make them, just reduce it. You don't have to do exactly the grams that it says in here, but there was only a tiny bit left. I'm actually going to use that all. And a little splash of water for me. That. Good. And then this time we're actually just using the simmering basket. So this is a really good one if you want to let off as much steam as possible from whatever you're cooking, and really reduce things. You're going to be popping this steaming basket on top here. Okay. And it's automatically in this guided cooking recipe put the blades in reverse for me, which means it's not going to be, pureeing that meat, making it even finer. It's going to keep things nice and chunky going around on the blunt edge of the blade. So all I have to do is turn that dial. It's doing all the work for me. Again, just another 3-minute cook here. to obviously cook that sauce through. But it's quite a simple dish, really. Taco night is very easy, especially when you've got the cutter to do up all your other little bits and pieces and toppings to go with it. So I'm not sure if, Nat, you would like me to show that now. You want me to wait until later? Did you want to?
We can go to Anne and then come back. Yeah, for sure.
That's fine. All right. So heading over to Anne. All right.
Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me now.
We can.
Oh, yay. Technology, it's great, isn't it? So tonight a couple of things I'm going to quickly show you, and I don't know how well you can see my screen here. Today, well, second thing I'm making is condensed milk. Super easy. So I made a batch this morning and made it into a lemon slice, which I'm sure my family are very happy about. But firstly, I thought I'd show you how easy it is to crush biscuits. So Marie biscuits, everyone's probably quite familiar with those. You can use any sweet biscuit. I tend to go Marie's just because that's what the recipe says. So the recipe I use, I actually found on the recipe community. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with the recipe community. An awesome website. You can search anything you like. When you go on there, when you've got a TM6, there's a little green button that says add to cookie dough. So you can click that and it will take it into your cookie dough, which then goes on your machine. It will look slightly different on the screen. Reach out to your consultant and who can help you set it up with the steps to make it more like guided cooking. When you first see it, it's all in one big group, but reach out to your consultant. They'll run a session with you, how to get it all set up so it's more step by step. So I'll just go into the recipe. My internet's a bit slow tonight, typical out here. All right, so we've got the start cooking as you normally see. I'm not sure how well you can see this screen. I'll try and bring it a bit closer. All right, so it's asking there to chop lemon rind, but I'm going to skip that step. Okay, and here we've got add 1 package of Marie biscuits, which I have got already here. I'll pop these in. So they go straight in, whole like that. No need to break them up or anything, just straight in. Okay, lid on. And then when you've imported a recipe, it's slightly different. You don't have a next button, but you have got down the bottom, you've got scales and blades, little pictures. So if we go on the blades, you can see how here it's got 5 seconds. And then we're going to turn, it says to speed 4, which I actually think that's not quite the speed I want. So I'm going to go a little bit higher speed. I'm going to crush these biscuits. So that was 5 seconds. Let's have a look how they've come out. 5 seconds. You see in there. Perfectly crushed biscuits. You can do it for a little bit longer if you want them finer. I think that's pretty good. You don't want them too fine. Sometimes you want a little bit of crunch. See, that was 5 seconds, biscuits crushed, and then you can continue with your recipe. And so then next will be condensed milk. If you haven't made condensed milk yourself before, I did this recently only because I'd run out of condensed milk and I needed to make a caramel slice. So I thought I'll search cookie dough. Sure enough, there's a recipe, and I happen to have everything in the pantry, which was even better. Let's get a second bowl here, which is the bonus. For anyone who has a second bowl, you know how much you appreciate it. So this is called sweetened condensed milk in cookie dough. And we'll go start cooking. It's asking to set aside a sterilised jar, sealable jar. I've got one here earlier. If your jar is small enough, you can sterilise in the varoma. There is a method to do that, or you can do it a boiling water method or the oven, but there is a Varoma method if you search that, which is very handy. Okay, so we've got 40 grams of butter going in. $125 grams of water. Let's see if my measuring's any good. Oh, pretty right, actually. Next. Now it's asking for the simmering basket to sit on top. Same as Laura was explaining before. Safety and allowing some hot air to escape. So this is going to melt the butter and the water together for 3 minutes. So I'll get it started. And I just love how quick and simple this recipe is too. Like, it's so simple. Within a few minutes, you've got a jar of condensed milk to go on with the recipe, which is fantastic. Again, I don't live 5 minutes from the shops, so it's perfect. All else it has is milk powder and raw sugar and a little bit of salt, and that's it. You've got and it says in the recipe it will keep in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. So if you're not needing it today, or you only need a little bit, you might then use the rest in a recipe within a couple of weeks, which is fantastic. And it tastes just as good. And the texture, when you see it, when it cools down, just like the tin, so good. I don't think I'll buy condensed milk ever again.
It's amazing, isn't it? I love it. The taste is just delicious. While that's doing its thing, Anne, I might, before we go back to Laura and then come back, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I don't think for now. I think that's just happening along. And while this is happening, I can be, well, not currently now, but I could do a few dishes, or I could go put a load of washing on, and it's just doing its thing. That's probably one of my most favourite things about Thermomix, is I can pop off, and other than kneading's the only time I don't leave my machine, just because it gets a bit jumpy and we'd hate for it to fall off the bench and do any damage. But other than that, I'm off busy doing things around the house, and it's great. Or have a cup of tea, whatever you like. Sit down for 5 minutes.
Absolutely. And it's those pantry staples as well, isn't it, that you can make at home. You don't have to leave the house. You're saving yourself money by doing that as well, because we know that when we go to the shops to get 1 can of condensed milk, you're likely leaving with $50 worth of groceries. So it's often not what we go for that we come back with. So it is all those, making your own self-raising flour, baking powders, maple syrups. Oh, there's endless taco seasonings. The list just goes on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's got probably a couple of minutes left. I just want to show you just a couple of little tips as well. So when I was getting my dough out, I was like, I should have showed them. Turn your dough upside down onto your baking mat and just give this little, I suppose it's just your blade, but just giving that a bit of a twist, and that'll release the dough. Now, what I'm going to do, you can see all that yucky dough on the inside. You could then turbo that, and then that will flick a little bit of the dough off the blade, so then you can use a little bit more. The other option, once you've done that, is popping it on pre-clean. So as you can see, dough is really sticky to get out of a bowl, and I would never attempt to actually get it out without pre-cleaning it first. So the TM6, you have on your home screen, you have the pre-clean mode. So when you swipe from right to left, you've got your pre-clean. All you need is a little bit of detergent and water to cover your blades. And then you select, in this case, I'll go dough, but you can select from a short clean, a dough, a universal, fat or caramel, or browning. When it cleans in the dough mode, the bowl or the machine is smart enough to recognize we don't want to heat the water up, because if we heat the water up in the bowl, it's going to make the dough even stickier to get out. So it washes it with cool water, where if you're doing like a browning, it will heat the water up in the bowl to get all of that off the bowl for you. So just a couple of little tips. And also on the top of your screen, when you go to your home screen, you'll see a little arrow up the top. A lot of people miss this. It's a new little function that's come out of the TM6 when we did a system update, but you've got your timer up there. So if you're waiting for your bread to proof, you can then just set your timer as well for about 30 minutes or whatever it is, and it'll let you know when it's ready. So I thought that might be helpful to share. And now I'll pop back over to Laura.
All right, here we go. So I finished cooking, but rather than tip my jug up and potentially lose it, I thought I would just show you the sum that I prepared earlier. So this is my sort of taco meat. It's, yeah, not too saucy. It's perfect, you know, perfect for taco filling, which is great. And now what I just wanted to show you guys was our new cutter accessory. So I know there's been a lot of buzz about it from the start of this year. Hopefully you guys have at least heard of it and know what I'm talking about. But if not, you're in for a real treat. So this is our cutter bowl, and it essentially just goes straight into our Thermomix jug. And the beauty of this is you do not need a clean jug to utilize the cutter. And vice versa, you can use the cutter and you don't dirty your bowl. So it is so great if you are just needing to chop or grate things. Don't mind the pun there, but just to chop or grate things quickly for a bit of meal prep and things like that, and still continue on with, you know, a recipe that you're maybe doing in a Thermomix already. So I thought I would just show you guys tonight just grating some carrot and some cheese. Really simple. This is the blade that goes in, and as you can see, it's got a grey end and a white end, and it's very clearly labelled. One side is grating, the other side is slicing. So unfortunately, I'm not showing you any slicing tonight, but you know, if you want to check that out, please reach out to your consultant because they'll be able to demonstrate all the amazing things that the cutter can do for you. So that essentially just, that blade goes on there. You've got the lid and a very, very important piece that goes on top of the blades underneath. Can't recall the name of it right now, but it is very crucial that that is in there, and it's very crucial that it's removed after you've used your cutter as well. You don't want to be chopping that up in your Thermomix. So lid goes on. It's got a nice little, I guess I call it the pusher. I don't actually know the terminology for half of these things, as you can tell. But essentially that's where you're going to be feeding your vegetables or whatnot through. And you want to be just applying a really gentle pressure with this, okay? So I'm going to move my taco meat out of the way, and I'm going to hit finish on my recipe, head across to the manual sort of function area on my Thermomix. And if you scroll, you will see, if you've done a recent update, you will see there's been a grating and slicing function added. So I'm just going to go to the grating. Now automatically it will bring me two options up. It'll say thin or thick. So you can have a quite fine grate, which is what I'm going to do with the carrot, and then a thicker grate, which is what I'll do with the cheese. And just to show you that sort of contrast. And it's really fun to play with this and to see what things work well, maybe what things don't work as well, that sort of stuff. So yeah, let me show you what we do. So thin for the carrot. So in a matter of like not even 3 seconds, you can grate a whole carrot, which is really incredible, which I love. And obviously you can imagine the implications for this if you're doing bulk cooking for a family. But if I just pick that out, you can see perfectly kind of grated strands of carrot there, which is amazing and really aesthetic. So if you've had a Thermomix for a long time, you will know that, you know, it can grate, it can chop, it can do everything. But if you're into a really, you know, appealing meal on the eye and you want to do something with, you know, grated cheese or grated, you know, grated something, the grating is a bit different. So this really brings that, lifts that, you know, aesthetic element of our dishes and brings that chef quality to meals, which is really cool. And I love that Thermomix are kind of always just looking at new options and looking at new things that we can add to make it even smarter and even better. So I'm just going to put that carrot aside, and same thing back on, although I just did have a little chunk there that I didn't push in properly. But now we're going to go on the thicker grate, and I can show you with this. There's two sections with your cutter. So there's like a thick section for like bigger vegetables that you might want to put in, and then there's a thinner one I find most of my carrots still don't fit in the thinner one because the end is quite big, but there are certain things that you would put in there so that they don't fall over. The carrot, because it was a little bit too wide, it did just fall over right at the end there as I pushed it down, which is why I ended up with this tiny little bit that it didn't grate. So just good to have a play with which section to put it in. So I'm going to squeeze 2 little bits of cheese in there and pop it on thick. In a moment for the arms to open, and it's really barely filling this cutter bowl. So I just did a fair chunk of cheese from my block of cheese, which of course is much better for you. If you want to buy a block, it's much more better on the pocket as well, saves you a lot more money than buying grated cheese, but obviously it doesn't have all those extra additives in it that grated store-bought cheese has, like anti-caking agents and preservatives. So you've got beautifully kind of grated cheese there that can go on tops of pizzas or scrolls like Nat's just done, or anything you like. So yeah, the cutter in our family has just been such an amazing little addition and such a novelty as well after owning a Thermomix for many years and just grating everything in there. It's been really, really fun. So yeah, I'll put together a little taco maybe and just show you if you would like, and take a little photo of that. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed some of the functions and highlighting some of the things that Thermomix can do tonight that we've shown you. Is there anything you'd like to add, Nat?
Thanks, Laura. No, not at all. I love tacos and Thermomix. I feel like that's just, chicken, beef, whatever you want. You can just make it your own, like you said, which is amazing. So my scrolls have got about 5, but I'm sure Anne's is also ready. Before I go to Anne, I just want to show you, I just used all of the pesto, leftover pesto. I definitely could have added more pasta. So it looks like there's a lot of pesto sauce, but that's fine because we'll have that for tea tomorrow night and that'll soak in overnight anyway. So that is all done. Now, before we finish up and while everybody's sort of plating up and getting their things organized, I just wanted to let you all know that tonight, if you did bring a friend or bring 2 friends to this demo, you are eligible for a host reward. So please reach out to your consultant and let them know that you brought a couple of friends and pick yourself up an amazing host reward. As I said, you've got your thermoservice, you've got your baking mats. And if you have brought on somebody tonight who is actually interested in purchasing a TM6, this month only, we have a $99 bowl offer for your host. They can get a $99 second bowl, and they're usually valued at $375. So that's amazing value as well. So I'm just, Anne, how is your condensed milk all done? Oh, you just unmute.
Now I'm unmuted. Now I'm good. I'm just going to finish off. So this at the moment is blending. So it's melted the butter and the water together. And now it's blending it at speed 10. So I'll just finish this off. It'll cut the noise out for another 14 seconds, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so that has blended for 30. So that took 2 minutes of melting time, 30 seconds to blend, because I added raw sugar, milk powder, and a pinch of salt. That's the only ingredients, 5 ingredients. Generally, you've got them in the pantry. Milk powder I had only purchased recently, bought some at Aldi, so it was quite cheap, and it's Australian milk powder, so I was really happy with that. So I don't know how well you can see in there. I'll pour some into the jar and show you what it looks like. Little trick, I'm not sure if you know this trick. You can use your lid as a funnel on certain size jars. It's really good to save spilling down the side of the jar. So I don't know how well you can see that coming out. But have a look at that consistency. And when it's cooled, it is amazing. So there we go. That is condensed milk in a very short space of time. And I made the recipe earlier today, and I could have doubled the lemon slice recipe with the amount of condensed milk. So amazing. Yeah, I hope you've got something out of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, you can make your own condensed milk, saving money, saving time, all of those great things.
Love that. Thank you so much, Anne. It's Anne's, as I mentioned to some of you that were on earlier, it's her first virtual demo, and Anne, you did fabulous. So thank you so much. It's so lovely to have you on. Laura, have you got some tacos to show us?
I do. Sorry, normally I can get multiple pins up at once. For some reason, it's not letting me tonight. But these are my tacos. I mean, everyone has a preference on how they fill their tacos. So obviously, I've done a couple of different ways. But yeah, they're my little tacos ready to be demolished by me because I still haven't really finished dinner. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and following along. It is always so lovely connecting with people in this way. Such a flexible way for me as well as a stay-at-home mum to be able to work still. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you so much. You always do such a fabulous job. Finished off scrolls. So the scrolls, there's still more cooking in the oven. My oven's a bit funny, but there we go. We've got some scrolls there, absolutely beautiful. You could even put melted cheese on top if you wanted to as well. So look how big that, like some of them are massive. So that's down low. So that is them. So we had the scrolls, the tacos, and the condensed milk and the pasta. Look at that, all done in about 45 minutes. So I want a big thank you to the girls for coming on the lemon slice. Yes. Oh, yum. That looks delicious.
And some caramel slice I made the other day too, in the middle.
Oh, I wish I was at your house right now. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and a big thank you to the girls for coming on tonight and Bree supporting the chat box. Really appreciate it. We don't get paid for doing these. We simply do it out of love, and we want you to get the most out of your Thermomix. We know it's a massive investment. If you don't have a Thermomix on your bench, we know how big the investment is, and we want to make sure that you leave feeling confident and wanting to get one on your bench and know that you are supported 100%. So that's what we're here for. To our customers, reach out whenever you need. We're always here. Thanks so much, everyone. And girls, can you just stay on for a photo?